Hey, good morning. Still in South Florida here. The countdown has begun. So, in this time, which I told you time is thereabouts, like if I tell you I'll see you in 3 moons, you'll see me in about, depending on the moons, 3 or 4 months. So, time is not exact because man, created a time clock and they have to keep adjusting it. So, God's time is ever time, forever time, eternal time, timeline continuum. And everything's been held up by the enemy because trust. Can God trust you? Can God trust you with the revelation? Now, in the horses in Apocalypse, have the scale of justice in his hands. Goes back to the book of Daniel, which is also a book of Revelation. So you've been weighed and found wanting, which means the scales have been tipped, not in your favor, but the scales have been tipped because you tipped the scales and did not, was not, maybe were never a good steward of what God has given you. So everything is about the heart to heart, about caring about the people, caring, Caring, not the opposite, which they call Karens. So they're mean little bees. So trying to bite everybody. So we are not what you think we are. You are not what you think you are. So the enemy has painted this picture that we're a bunch of low-life scum. We're bleeping bleeps, we're punks, has been bullying the human race for a long time. Now, out of this human race of 8 billion, there are the sons of God who have awakened and are waking up and realizing that they are not flesh. They're living a natural experience, we'll call it, or a secular experience, natural, but they realize that there's more to this dimension of the first heaven than ever recorded. Well, you can't say recorded because it's recorded all spiritually, so that ever been disclosed to the people. We the people, for the people, Jesus in the people. And we're being deinstitutionalized. It's like you put a fish in a small aquarium and he only grows so fast and he never gets very big because of his small enclosure. That's the sight, that's the seeing, okay? So if you put a turtle in a small tank, if you switch them to a bigger tank, they'll grow much faster and bigger, but they'll still be limited because of the tank size, the line of sight. So Jacob, when he took the tree branches, the sticks, and he carved them with his knife to make them speckled, spotted, and streaked. The animal saw that when he ate and drank, saw that speckled, spotted, and streaked. It's a matter of sight. So that's why heavenly vision, men will dream dreams, people will prophesy, the awakening has begun for the multitudes. But the sons of God have already awakened. They've already left here, went to the third heaven, and they can nothing with hell because they have no fear, because fear is what blocks you, cans you, boxes you, like the aquarium, the glass. You're in a glass aquarium or a glass zoo, and you're limited by what you see. So go to Jacob, and when Laban, he made a deal with Laban, and Laban only wanted the perfect animals that weren't speckled, spotted, and streaked. Had nothing to do with the meat or anything else. It was a secular understanding of a kosher and the Jewish understanding of the law. Even though the law wasn't given yet, but I told you everything that affects the present time, the present, your present in such a time as this, everything that you do in the present time affects past, present, future. So we are not who we think we are. So imagine this. You take sticks and you carve them with your little Jack's knife. Jack's knife. Hey, Jack. So Jack's knife. Jack has a big knife, and I'm not sure he knows how to use the sword. But hey, Jack, you're on the right track. So, and all you people are on the right track if you're still listening, because there's much to disclosure, and we can only put it out there so fast. But we'll be able to bring it all out in approximately 3-4 weeks. And then the sons of God and their appearing are, can be any day now. But the full disclosure can be, it's approximately less than 6 weeks now, full disclosure of what we are as the sons of God. Sons of God and the daughters of God, not the daughters and sons of man. So imagine this. He reread the Jacob story when he's getting ready to leave Laban, and he needs to increase his flocks and everything. And then Laban's flock started looking all sickly. They might not have had the speckled spot on the streaks. They might have had red coats. The red coats, the nice smooth fur, but they were looking sickly because they were not God's people. They were not Israel, which was Jacob was Israel, is Israel. It's not that dirt over there in Israel. That's what messes everybody up, because they're calling that dirt over there, Israel. Want you to support Israel in their dirt. We don't buy dirt. We don't need dirt. We don't need that pay dirt. We need what Jesus wants in this time. So every time they ate, they're looking at speckled, spotted, and streaked sticks. Now, sticks represent humans. Sticks represent life. The trees. Jesus was hung on a tree. A snake was put on a stick, a stick. So everything's, more than what you think it is. So when he put the speckled, spotted, and streak sticks in the troughs, they bred 90-some percent, 99.9 or 97, 98% speckled, spotted, and streaked children. Imagine that. So reread Isaiah 6 till you understand that, like cherubs had 4 wings, which means foundation. Doesn't technically mean they had 4 wings. They had a foundation in the Lord. Now, the Nephilim, their wings were plucked when they fell into humanity. Then the seraphim, the cherubim, Nephilim, and seraphim. Now, the seraphim are the ones who were lowly, and when he took the coal from the altar and touched the lips, which meant the words that come out of your mouth, touch your lips, to all the truth, the way, the truth, and the life of God. And all his iniquity is gone. And then the angels cried, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And then God says, the word says, it comes out of the mouth of God. Every man shall live on the word that comes out of the mouth of God. Not live by bread alone, which is natural. So the word, the revelation thereof, he bred a lot of cattle, speckled, spotted, and streaked, and they were healthy. But the world only wanted, it's like the money bag. They wanted a money bag. They wanted to covet the money. And it's to their detriment. So a lot of people got millions of dollars the last 20 years and prospered and prospered and prospered, but they didn't prosper spiritually. They gave up their spirituality for a bag of money, a bag of silver, box of silver. And then that was just the tip of the iceberg, because the floodgates are opening to those he can trust with the revelation of Jesus Christ. And what does that really mean? Trust with the revelation of Jesus Christ? Because it's all about God's children. So daddy, mommy, mothers, fathers, underneath Abba, God, they're like the sons and daughters of God. It's all about being a true mother and father. And the governmental positions are all collapsing. This is the biggest one you have to understand. All the governmental positions are collapsing because they're on a wrong foundation. They're on a foundation of wanting. You've been weighed and found wanting. Many, many tickle up Sharon and Daniel. So your kingdom has been weighed. Your job, your family, everything, you're on the hot seat. Your kingdom has been weighed. It was never about your kingdom. It's about his kingdom come, his will be done on earth as in heaven. It's all about the heart. The heart of God. The heart of God never fails. The heart of God, the mind of God, let this mind be in you, that's Christ, that was in Christ Jesus. So, speckled spotted streak. So, the new breed that's already maturing, understand this revelation that you've been blinded by the enemy. Just as Saul, his name was changed to Paul. Now look up the name Paul. It's about the definition, the defined in the nation, definitions. Look up, go grab a dictionary, start looking up words. Jesus says the word. Look up words or word. Look up Paul, Saul. Now, what did Paul mean when he changed from Saul to Paul? It goes back to King Saul was lowered, and his spirit was taken away. The spirit of God was taken away, and he couldn't get a word from God no matter what, because his kingdom was weighed and he found wanting. Look at Nebuchadnezzar. Look at the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation. Everything over and over and over repeated that kingdom has been weighed and you've been found wanting. You and your family. Hopefully you surrender quickly. So the sons and daughters of God understand this revelation that everything can change because your EYE, sight, the reality is being disclosed. Now it's going to be shocking to most people to find out they are not just lowly humans. And that's why God needs a lot of people, because we're being deinstitutionalized. We're being changed from what we did see, actually what we did not see. And then the mask will be removed. We talked about, these people wear masks because they had not faith. They masked up, were snuffed, muzzled the tread oxen. Look at that in Scripture. Don't muzzle the tread oxen. It treads out the corn, the wine, the oil, which is a spiritual definition, not a natural, but they had to use natural things, parable stories, in order to wake people up. So Jesus, the Word, God who birthed the Word, Elohim, God, G is us, God's Spirit in many. They'll need to be deinstitutionalized, briefed and rebriefed and debriefed and deinstitutionalized, deprogrammed from the world that is painting this picture through television and radio, so that you will not radiate the Spirit of God and glow in the day and glow in the dark. So full disclosure is going to shock many. And then a lot of the young people are like, they're okay with it. So there's a lot of people that are going to be okay with it because they've already tuned in and awakened many times years ago, but now it's in full force to where nothing will be withheld. Now, in the Babylonian system, they had to crush the communication because they're telling the wrong vision and telling the wrong stuff, telling the wrong vision. So now the communication of principalities, the heirs, the liars are going down. And boom, shakalaka boom means military tribunals. Many people have been hearing that song in the spirit. Military tribunals. So marched, shot, killed, taken out. And then there's a lot of people who are going to be, what's the word, cantankerous, fighting, not okay, a little bit crazy. And they maybe have to institutionalize them, not in a bad way, but in a good way. And the enemy built all these FEMA camps, for 20, 30 some years. And you could look on the website, and they built guillotines, and you could actually see the purchase from the United States. They purchased guillotines. But then they found out in this time it wouldn't work. Haman's gallows, read the story about Haman's gallows and Mordecai and how it got switcheroo. So the enemy found out this is not going to work. To get them to deny Jesus or lop off your head, put you in a plastic box. You know, not really plastic, but those, what do you call that stuff that's made out of black plastic, like the butyl something, whatever, you look it up. So now those FEMA camps and everything it's a reversal. It's just like, you know, built the gallows to hang God's man, and then they ended up hanging the guy who tried to kill God's man. So you reread these stories and realize it's all the same story over and over and over, and it says all the same thing, just using different names. Players, look up the words names. Look up the names. Paul meant small. Paul meant small. Paul was humbled by Jesus the Christ. Caught up to heaven many times and became small. Because he was big and bad and had a lot of intellect. And he thought he was doing right, but he was using the law against God's people. Stoning them, killing them, murdering them, hanging them. However you need to say it. So Saul became the name Paul, which meant small. So there's much debriefing, disclosure, uncovering of who and what we are, which we are the sons and daughters of God. We're not a bleep and bleep. We're not a pogue. We're not just a baloney suit. We're not just a meat suit. You look in the mirror and you look at, you know, I got a little gray and white and whatever, you know, and I'm aged. Well, Jesus turned back to age. God, the Word, turned back to age on Abraham and Sarah. No, Sarah meant princess. Princess. In the beginning, God did not create the women yet. There's no women among the angels. So that's a key factor in being a mother of God's children. Key factor to become a father of God's children. Man has lost his cotton picking mind because he gave it over to the snake. And then he blames the woman. The woman blames the snake. In reality, Satan, the liar, Lucifer, the two buddies, the peas in the pod. Lucifer gave his authority over to the lie and the liar, and the two together. Okay, it's always two witnesses. Too evil. Look up in Revelation, you know, gave him power, gave the beast its power. And now the lies, like we talked about, the best the enemy can do is cackle and dementia. Because for thousands of years, it's like a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone. And instead of being the original, the pure, the wild, the strength, the revelatory, the straight from God, the supernatural has corrupted and corrupted and corrupted, and you can say that 100,000 times. So then, as it gets corrupted, the brain gets corrupted, dementia settles in because of unresolved conflict. Alzheimer's, dementia is caused from unresolved conflict, which is unforgiveness. So forgiveness reconciles the mind and the heart and the mind. To use way beyond 10% of your brain, which has been locked up because of Babylonian times, nothing will be withheld. So in this time, people got the heart-to-heart and are receiving more and more of the revelation of the mind of Christ. So nothing means no thing. Nothing will be withheld because of proper believing, proper understanding, not being weighed and found wanting, not selfish gain, manipulation, control, coercion. You start naming all these words that corrupted people and corrupted relationships. So whoever is about humanity, humanitarian things, it's all about stewarding correctly, governing God's people correctly. And at one time, the word government was a word that came down from heaven, which meant God over men. God over men. And the T was in the beginning, Jesus. The T is at the end, Jesus. Did everything at the cross, God over men. So the government has went down and down and down to where men controlled the people. And it was no longer we, the body, we the governing body, we the good stewards. And you reread about the talent story, talking about people, burying the talents. You look at the seed that fell on different grounds, that's about people, the different types of ground. You read all these stories over and over and over, the parable stories, that they're all talking about God's people and how awake they are, how not awake they are. Can you see things differently? The speckled spotted streak. So, like when the guy was dead down the street, heart, mind, eye. The three alignment in the mouth. I had to see he was not dead. I had to see he had a journey and a destiny to fulfill. I had to know this. I had to have love from God. Otherwise, I could not have called him back from the dead. And I could not have forced him to stay here because he wanted to die. He wanted to fly. He wanted to leave. He was tired of his journey. He was tired of his destiny. But he had much to do. But you can't believe in death. You can't see death. Can't hear death. Can't believe in death. You have to love. Heart. So in order to change everything, see, hear, believe in the heart. The foundation. See, hear, believe, heart. 4. Okay? With 2 wings he flew. Isaiah 6. Purge the iniquity. 6 is the day that God created man. But man could not fly because the wings were plucked. In Revelation, the wings were plucked, but they're talking about Satan's wings were plucked. Given much power over the earth, plucked his wings, so he is no longer heavenly, no longer could get intel from God. Just as Saul lost his connection with God and had to conjure up Samuel, and he used the witch, an Endorian witch, to conjure up Samuel to get a revelation. So they're being all blocked. Okay, the corruption in the mind, corruption in the heart. They've been weighed and found wanting. That was King Saul. So God literally started removing his spirit little by little by little. And then he was killed. Militarily killed. They said it was a stray arrow. No such thing as stray. Everything is orchestrated on this planet for a reason. For a reason and reasons alone. God's reasons, he allows Satan. Okay, now we're getting kind of lengthy in this video, so let's jump over to the weather. So the enemy's gotten control of the jet stream. He can push the jet stream down. He could knock trees down for 1,000 miles, knock them clean over. What are trees? Trees are people. Trees in the Bible is a definition of people are the trees. We are the cross. Jesus was hung on the cross. Jesus is the fruit of God, the fruit of the Most High God, the fruit of the womb of God, which was hung on a cross. We are the crosses. It was all the burden that he carried was to bring God's children into fruition, into revelation, into the revelatory time, and to stand up and be accounted for and be good stewards, be good moms and dads. So the enemy has got control of the jet stream. He pushed cold air down. He pushed hot air up. He caused things to bloom quickly in the season, which are actually people. Then he's going to try to shrivel them up by shoving hot air down, having everything bloom up in the north. Then he's going to push cold air down, which he already did, and it knocks the blossoms off the trees and the flowers and everything, causes like a third of the crops to fail. The crop is you, not the flowers, not the trees, not the crops, but it's all symbolic of you to fail. Now, in this time, we have just a few months for him to, how do you say it? For we the people, for God's people, to the angels and saints in heaven, in the heavens, in the galaxies, everywhere God had created, to take back the, take back the weather. And I told you symbolic. Look at the word weather. We are there. The word weather. Let's expand and expound on this weather. We are there. Weather. We will not be weathered anymore. We are there. We are there. We are there. We are there. See, believe, hear, heart, hear, believe, eyes, see. We are there. Weather. We will be back in the possession of the weather for God's people. Just as Moses, the storms of the times, let's see, that's not really in his time, that's our time. Okay, let's jump back to Moses. The weather was mild in the desert. The weather was mild in the desert. The clothes didn't even wear out. They were fed and watered every day and protected in the desert. As Moses led them out, and he didn't have a ton of revelation, but he had enough to where, go. And then the Red Sea, drowned in the people, the liars. The sea, there's two seas. There's a dead sea and a living sea, living water, which is the Spirit of the Most High, symbolic of the Spirit of the Most High, and then the spirit of death. So everything's working together for the good of them that love him. Just as Joseph was put into slavery, and he tried to tell his brothers, no, God sent me before you. His brothers are still in shame and guilt, got their tails between their legs, and shame and guilt, shame and guilt, shame and guilt. And Joseph says, no, you don't understand. God sent me. So they didn't understand that God had forced them to sell their brother out. Just as Judas had to sell Jesus out. So if you start seeing the parallels in times, throughout all the books, that starts the awakening of the masses of the sons and daughters of God. So like I said, there's a lot to say, a lot to see, a lot to see, a lot to understand. Remember, see, speak, hear. Then jump up to 5. Mind, eye, hear, mouth, heart. Go from a foundation to favor, the hand of God, the favor of God, the 5 fingers, the favor and the grace, the blessings of God. By being like him, with him, through him, speak for him. Man will not live by bread alone, but out of every word that comes out of the mouth of God. So we're talking about hurricane season. Starts in June. A few days out. And hurry, Cain. Cain was the evil. Cain murdered. Cain murdered. The Canaanites murdered Cain. Hurry. Cain has such a short time. Hurricane has such a short time of life because it's demonic. And the demons ride the storms. Riders on the storms are the demons, like the song, Riders on the Storms. But if you realize it's the demonic riders of the storms, there should be no storms of life. But it's all based on lies and liars that Jesus is going to erase the lies from the world. Full disclosure, total disclosure of the revelation of Jesus Christ. Hey, we'll queue up another one. God bless.